Fuck around, make my 40 pop. No popcorn, I pop pistols, reaming my body.
Alright guys, today we're going over the staff behind episode 214, which is the next episode of the Boruto anime, and this right here is supposed to be an absolutely amazing episode. Obviously, we have Kashin Koji and Jigen going up against each other. Isshiki Otsutsuki is actually going to be revived in the next episode, and not only that, a whole bunch of other information is going to be divulged between Amato, Sasuke, Naruto, and everybody else in that room potentially. But regardless, the staff behind episode 214, bro, it's absolutely insane. This is like literally a basketball roster right here. Anime Blue had to put out 2 separate tweets to cover all the people behind it. This is just that we know right now. Remind you guys, there's still more people working on it. We just don't necessarily know yet. And the confusing part about that is that this episode right here is not really going to have that much action in it. Like, yeah, it's going to be some action in it. Like, let's be honest, of course, Kashin Koji and Jigen are still going up against each other, but chapter wise it wasn't a lot. The first thing that I do want to say is the studio that's working behind it. Now, the studio that's working behind it is going to be 2 of them. Studio Period. If you guys do not know who Studio Period is, I say this all the time, they're the goats. They're behind all of the big fights. Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki, Naruto and Sasuke versus Jigen, Kawaki versus Garo, literally all the big ones. So having them on an episode like this is definitely not a surprise at all. Now, another thing, Maro Animations is another studio behind this. Maro Animations with Studio Period. Remind you guys, Maro Animations is nowhere close to Studio Period, or I wouldn't necessarily say that. They're just not as good as Studio Period, but these 2 studios worked together before, and was specifically on episode 208. Now, I know a lot of you guys remember exactly what episode 208 was, but I'm just gonna actually go back so you guys can actually see. Specifically, Boruto episode 208 was when Borushiki, you feel me, actually went up against Boro. Oh, I forgot. Crunchyroll didn't even say it was Borushiki. They said Momoshiki. Yeah, right here, Momoshiki's Rasengan. So this right here is essentially what it is. Damn, bro, I ain't gonna lie, this episode right here was fire. But regardless, this right here is the kind of quality that we should be expecting. Now, the next one, I'm gonna go over the directors. Now, the directors is the first one on this tweet. Noriyuki Abe, him specifically, one of the notable episodes that he did work on was episode 186. Now, specifically this episode, if you guys don't necessarily recall, is Boruto versus Ao, I think it was. And this right here was absolutely amazing. It looked very, very pretty. The animation was amazing. Everything about this was great. The animation, the choreography, especially this part right here, everybody loved this right here with Boruto. Yeah, bro, it was amazing, bro. I ain't gonna lie. I'm gonna try to speed this up a little bit, man, because as I said, it's like a whole basketball roster behind this. So the next one is going to be Masayuki Matsumoto. Now, this guy right here was behind episode 171. Specifically, I think that right there was actually Sakura versus Sarada. Animation wise, I loved it. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys liked it as well. The thing about this right here was that it was just so short. The whole episode right here was amazing. If you guys don't necessarily recall, this right here was the actual first episode that Boruto did actually use his new Rasengan. And it was kind of crazy because we never really seen him use that Rasengan before. But regardless, this right here was actually a part of this episode. The animation was absolutely amazing. So him being on this episode, definitely a very good thing. The next one is going to be, let's see, Emma Saito. The interesting thing about Emma Saito is that this is going to be their actual debut. So they haven't necessarily directed a specific Boruto episode before. So this right here is going to be the first one. Now, the next one, I'm going to go over to the storyboard. The storyboard is by Yukihiro Matsushita. This right here is actually a very interesting choice for Boruto, mainly because this person hasn't necessarily been behind a lot of Boruto episodes that had a lot of action in it. Next one is going to be the screenplay, Atsushi Nishiyama. Now, this person actually did Boruto episode 159. If I'm not mistaken, I think Boruto episode 159 was them versus the person with Hashirama cells. Yeah, here it is. Yeah. Yo, they really got the full episode. Yo, hey, yo. Yeah, so like animation wise, this right here wasn't anything, you know, too bad. It wasn't necessarily anything too crazy. It wasn't necessarily anything too crazy. What is shaping up right now is looking like an elite team. It doesn't look like a dream team. It doesn't necessarily look like a god squad like Boruto episode 65. It's looking like an elite team. And now the next one is going to be the actual anime directors. Now, this right here is where things actually heat up, in my personal opinion. I think the first person that we have to go to has to be Hiroyuki Ryuji. This person right here is essentially like a GOAT. He worked on a lot of good episodes. I think even worked on Boruto episode 65, which is like the greatest episode. It had a god squad behind that. Specifically, that right there is Naruto and Sasuke versus Momoshiki. But just for familiarity, I think one of the most recent ones that we could actually point to, which is being one of the greatest ones, was Boruto episode 75. Well, 175. If you guys don't necessarily recall that, this right here was actually Boruto, the new Team 7, or just Team 7 period, not New Team 7. Kawaki wasn't necessarily in it. Team 7 versus Deepa. This right here was absolutely amazing. Everybody loved this. It was animated damn near to perfection, almost like one of the best episodes. To this day, people say that this right here is probably like a top 3 episode of the Boruto series. So I'm pretty damn sure him being on it is going to be a very, very good thing. Kazuya Saito, this person right here is actually on a recent episode, episode 208. This right here is also the Borushiki episode where Borushiki actually, used the Rasengan, completely destroyed Boro. The next one is Kumika Kaito. Kaito was actually on episode 207. Episode 207, arguably, I mean, people actually say that this episode right here was better than episode 208. Yo, how did I spell episode wrong? But yeah, some people say that, you feel me, I'm just gonna spell it right so you guys don't flame me in the comment section below. But some people actually said this episode right here was better than episode 208. It was very, very good. I definitely didn't really expect it to be this good. Obviously, this is when Sada actually did use the Shidori. She had the Shidori in this episode. Like, what are you talking about? Bro, it was amazing. Yeah, so that person being on this episode, absolutely amazing as well. The next one is going to be Renako Nishihara. Just like Kato, Renako was also on episode 207. So again, the episode where Sada used Shidori for the first time. Now the next one is going to be Kazunori Ozawa. Now Ozawa was also on episode 175. That episode right there I just showed you guys, the episode with Team 7 versus Deepa, where Boruto used his brand new compression Rasengan. That right there was absolutely amazing. Hopefully he uses that in an episode coming up or a fight coming up. I don't know, or even in the Boruto manga. They gotta do something with that compression Rasengan because it looked absolutely phenomenal. But regardless, this episode right here, I'm going to say this right now, it's an elite team. I'm not gonna say it's a dream team yet. It doesn't have Ichiro Uno. It doesn't have a lot of the bomb squads. It's not Studio Perry solely. So I'm going to call it an elite team, not necessarily a dream team as of yet. But let me know what you guys think about this in the comment section below. I 100% expect this to look absolutely amazing. And I think this right here is actually good because there's going to be bigger fights in the future. And when I say in the future, I'm talking about in a couple of weeks. Like, it's going to be insane fights. But it's been your boy Baara B, and we out.
It's a knife.